My son took me to a local pub. The bartender grabbed my hand and said something shocking. The first thing I noticed when we walked into the pub wasn't the clatter of glasses or the low hum of conversation. It was the way the bartender froze when he saw me, like someone had slammed the pause button on his entire world. His hand mid-pour trembled, spilling amber beer onto the counter. His eyes locked onto mine, wide and unblinking. Then, without a word, he rushed around the bar, crossed the room in 3 long strides and grabbed my hand. "You're alive," he whispered. And just like that, the past I'd spent 20 years trying to bury rose, uninvited from the shadows. Chapter 1: The Invitation. My son Daniel had been asking me for weeks. "Come on, Dad, it's just a small local pub, good food, live music on Saturdays, you need to get out more." He was right, of course. Retirement had wrapped itself around me like a heavy blanket, warm at first, then suffocating. My wife, gone for 5 years now, had taken laughter with her. The house was too quiet. The clock ticked too loudly. Silence echoed. So when Daniel texted yet again, "Tonight, 7 p.m., my treat," I finally gave in. The pub was cozy in a cluttered way, old wooden beams, brass lamps, framed photos of people laughing and living a life louder than mine. It smelled of fried food and nostalgia. We found a table near the back. Daniel talked work, friends, a woman he wasn't sure he loved but loved enough to question. I listened. Listening was easier than talking. Talking meant remembering. Then the bartender saw me. And the world changed. Chapter 2: The Name I Hid From. He gripped my hand harder than a stranger ever should. His face was pale, his breathing shallow. "You're alive," he repeated louder this time. "You're really alive." People turned to stare. I think you've mistaken me for someone else," I said, gently pulling back. But he didn't let go. "No, I'd know you anywhere. William Hart. You disappeared 23 years ago." The name sliced through me. Not my name now. But once, a lifetime ago, it had been. Daniel stared at me, confusion twisting into shock. "Dad," he whispered, "what's he talking about?" The bartender swallowed, emotion thick in his voice. "My name is Michael," he said. "Michael Turner, I was your best friend." And suddenly I was 25 again, drowning in memories I thought I'd buried for good. Chapter 3: The Night Everything Broke. Back then I was William Hart, a mechanic with big dreams and a small bank account. Michael and I grew up together, inseparable, the kind of friends who carved promises into tree bark and actually meant them. We worked at the same garage, shared the same stupid jokes, shared the same worn-out couch on football nights. And eventually, we shared love for the same woman. Her name was Emily. She had eyes like summer rain, bright, but always carrying a hint of something deeper. She came into the garage one afternoon with a stubborn car and an easy laugh, and within weeks she had woven herself into our lives. Michael loved her quietly. I loved her loudly. She chose me. We tried to keep it gentle for Michael. He pretended it didn't hurt. He celebrated with us. He toasted at our wedding. But pain doesn't disappear just because you bury it under a smile. Then came the argument. Emily and I were driving home late one night. Rain hammered the windshield. Words turned sharp. Accusations flew: money, work, absence, worry. I shouted. She cried. I took my eyes off the road for a second. Just 1 second. The headlights appeared out of nowhere. Metal screamed, glass shattered, the world went black. When I woke up in the hospital, they told me Emily hadn't made it. And something inside me died with her. Chapter 4: Why I Ran. Grief changes the texture of the air. It makes every breath feel heavier. Michael visited daily at first. He gripped my shoulder. He told me it wasn't my fault, but in his eyes, just for a flicker, I saw what I feared. Blame. And worse, I saw the ghost of his old love for her. It twisted everything inside me until guilt became poison. One morning, I simply walked out of the hospital, out of my life. I left my wallet, my phone, my name. I took a bus to a city I'd never seen, slept on benches for a while, found work under the table, built a new life brick by trembling brick. I married again, had a son, Daniel, told him stories about a past that never existed. William Hart became someone I used to know. Until tonight. Chapter 5, The Truth Comes for Us. Michael finally released my hand, but tears clung stubbornly to his lashes. I went to your funeral, he said quietly. They found wreckage near the river months later. Everyone assumed you followed her. Daniel stiffened beside me, color draining from his face. You faked your own death, he whispered. I couldn't meet his eyes. I thought, my voice cracked, I thought everyone would be better off without me. Michael shook his head, a bitter, broken sound escaping him. You were my brother, and you vanished. The pub noise swelled and faded like waves around us, but in our small world, time stood still. Why now? Daniel asked. Why didn't you ever come back? I opened my mouth, and every excuse I'd rehearsed over the years evaporated. The truth stood naked and ugly. I was ashamed. 3 words. 23 years of running. Chapter 6, What He Told Me. Michael motioned us to follow him to a quieter corner. We sat. He exhaled slowly, steadying himself. I need to tell you something, he said. Something I should have told you back then. My heart hammered. The night of the accident, he continued, Emily called me before you left the garage. I frowned. She called you. He nodded. She was worried about you, said you were exhausted, said she didn't know how to help you anymore. She loved you so much it scared her. His voice wavered. I told her to give you time, that you carried the world on your shoulders, that eventually you'd see you didn't have to do it alone. He swallowed. And I told her for the first time out loud that I loved her, that I always had, and that losing her to you hurt, but seeing you hurt would be worse. The confession hung between us. I thought finally saying it would free me, he continued. But then I heard about the accident, and I hated myself. I thought maybe somehow I'd caused it, maybe loving her had cursed you both. I stared at him, stunned. All these years, we had both been drowning in guilt, each convinced we were the villain. You didn't cause it, I said quietly. I did. I looked away. He shook his head fiercely. No, it was an accident, a horrible, tragic accident, but you didn't deserve to die for it, and you didn't deserve to disappear. His gaze softened. And neither did we. Chapter 7, The Son Who Didn't Know His Father. Daniel sat silent for a long time. Then he spoke, voice trembling. So my dad, the man who raised me, is a stranger with another life, another name. I reached for him, but he pulled back. I don't even know who you are. The word sliced deeper than any accusation. I'm still your father, I whispered. Everything I felt for you was real, every scraped knee, every bedtime story, every hug. I may have buried my past, but I never faked my love for you. He looked away, jaw clenched. Tears threatened but didn't fall. You should have trusted us with the truth. I nodded slowly. You're right. There was nothing else to say. Chapter 8, The Glass Shatters. A glass shattered somewhere near the bar. Laughter erupted from a nearby table. Life continued, indifferent. But at our small wooden table, 3 lives shifted forever. Michael reached across and squeezed my hand, not shocked now, not panicked, human. We can't change the past, he said gently, but maybe we can stop letting it control the present. I looked at Daniel, my son, my anchor to the only good life I'd built since losing Emily. I'm ready to tell you everything, I said. No lies, no hiding. He searched my face, looking perhaps not for truth, but for the man he still hoped I was. Then start at the beginning, he whispered. So I did. I told them about the garage, the laughter, the dreams, the love, the argument, the rain, the scream of twisting metal, the endless nights afterward where sleep was a stranger and guilt my only companion. I told them about the bus ride to nowhere, the jobs, the fear that if I looked backward, I'd turn to salt like Lot's wife in the storybooks, the day I met Daniel's mother, and how her kindness stitched the first fragile seams back into my broken heart. When I finished, silence wrapped around us. Then Daniel slowly, hesitantly, placed his hand over mine. I don't forgive you, he said honestly, not yet. I nodded, but his voice softened. I don't want to lose you, not like this, not again. And that right there was more grace than I deserved. Chapter 9, The Visit. A week later, Michael took me somewhere I hadn't been in 23 years. The cemetery. The grave marker still bore my name, William Hart. And beside it, Emily Hart. The stone was weathered. Moss brushed its edges like soft fingers. Fallen leaves lay like fragile secrets at its base. Michael cleared his throat. I visit every year, he said. I talk to her, and to you. A lump formed in my throat. What did you say? He smiled sadly. Mostly that I missed you, both of you, and that I hoped wherever you were you finally found peace. I knelt, tracing the name of the woman I had loved and lost. I'm sorry, I whispered, for all of it, for not being strong enough to stay, for turning grief into a prison. The wind stirred, carrying the faint rustle of leaves. For the first time in decades, the weight on my chest eased, not gone, but lighter. We stood there together, two men bound by love and loss, and somehow, forgiveness began its slow, patient work. Chapter 10, The Slow Mending. Healing didn't happen instantly. It came in small moments. Coffee with Michael on quiet mornings. Long talks with Daniel where questions replaced anger, and honesty replaced silence. Nights where I finally let myself dream of Emily, without drowning in guilt. I began volunteering at a support group for people wrestling with grief. I told my story, the real one, and watched eyes soften as people recognized their own shadows in mine. And slowly, I realized something important. Running from pain only teaches it to run faster. Facing it, however terrifying, is the only way to let it loosen its grip. Epilogue: The last visit to the pub. Months later, we went back to the pub, the three of us. The bartender, my old friend, didn't grab my hand this time. He hugged me. Welcome back, he said simply. And for the first time since I was 25, I felt like I truly was. Moral of the story: you cannot outrun your past, but you can outgrow the shame it carries. Guilt festers in silence. Secrets build walls. But truth, spoken with courage, becomes the first brick of healing. If you've been running from mistakes, from grief, from yourself, remember. It is never too late to stop. It is never too late to turn around. And it is never too late to begin again.